So I don't really have anything to really put on the table. There was one article from when I was perusing Facebook that there was a real possibility that the Democrats could lose the House of Representatives, and for good. I mean, I've been hearing this for like a month and a half, but I can't really find the article on Facebook, so I'm just going to go on Google here and see if I can find the article, or maybe see if there's anything else pertaining to that. So here's a couple. I'm probably just going to limit it to a couple. So let's go with the Hills ones first. The Trump base dominates Senate impeachment vote, threatens GOP in 2022. As the Senate begins its great debate about conviction or acquittal on the matter of impeachment, the deck is stacked, the game is fixed, and the outcome will most certainly be that former President Donald Trump will be acquitted. While this, in my view, is not the best outcome, it is important to understand why this will happen and will be implications for the future of American democracy. First, Trump will almost certainly be acquitted because the Trump base ferociously supports him, and Senate Republicans are so terrified by the Trump base ousting them in the GOP primaries in 2022 that few of them will summon the courage to vote to convict him. Second, the 2022 midterms elections have effectively began when almost all the Republicans in the House of Representatives voted not to impeach Trump or to sanction Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene for matters that most of them privately hold in complete and utter contempt. There is, of course, a small chance that some statement by Trump or some dramatic new revelation could be so shocking and extreme that even fearful Senate Republicans feel compelled to vote to convict, but don't bet on it. It is important for members of both parties to fully understand why the 2022 midterm election campaigns have already begun and why virtually guarantees a Trump acquittal in the Senate, and how that affects the political interests of Democrats and Republicans for 2022. My view is that while both parties have both dangers to worry about in 2022, a Trump acquittal would create major dangers, especially to House and Senate Republicans. While many Republicans feel they must do to win primaries in 2022, significantly increase the danger they may lose general elections in that year, and that the Trump factor will almost certainly guarantee a large number of ugly GOP primaries in 2022 for members who would vote to acquit or convict Trump. I spent almost the entire year of 2018 suggesting that the midterms that year were one of the most important midterms in American history, and because it was the only way to end Republican control of the House, Senate, and Washington, it was not hard to predict a Democrat would win control of the House in 2018 because of the majority public backlash against Trump. Similarly, it's not hard to predict that President Biden would defeat Trump in the 2020 presidential campaign because the majority of voters clearly wanted to move beyond the bitter divisiveness of the Trump years. Where I was wrong is, and this is a serious warning to Democrats, is that I believed we would do much better in the Senate elections in 2020. The Trump base probably has the power to defeat the effort to convict Trump, and with the effect this dramatically endangers Republicans and advantages Democrats in the 2020 term elections. Republicans who fell into the Trump trap for defending the many voters' views indefensible are risking a sizable amount of campaign donations from corporate and large individual donors. A solid majority of Americans were sickened by Trump's incendiary words, which incited a mob attack on the Capitol. While he repeated the ludicrous lie that he won the election, many voters and GOP donors are astounded that more than 150 Republicans in the House and Senate who are victims of the crimes of the Capitol voted in support of the man who incited it, giving him a license to dominate the party going into the 2022 midterms. This gravely endangers Republicans and significantly helps Democrats in those elections. Okay, well, I couldn't find that one article, but this is one interesting take on it. Here's some yesterday from the Boston Herald. Democrats' obsession with convicting Trump could come with a steep price. Democratic leaders and their frenzy to convict former President Donald Trump could be inadvertently reviving him in his movement. Trump has essentially become irrelevant since leaving office on January 20th, laying low at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. The only ones who seem to care about him are the Democratic leaders and talking heads at CNN and MSNBC who have lived off the Trump phenomenon for years. Which I kind of agree. But irrelevancy will end once... God damn it. Oh. Motherfucker. Can't even read the whole friggin' article. Okay. I can't read this damn article because Boston Herald, go fuck yourselves. I hope you sue me for that too. By telling you to go fuck yourselves. Let's go with 2022 midterms. Let's see, referendum. Okay, I just had to see what referendum was real quick. Alright. So pretty much it's saying that Joe Biden would pretty much survive the midterm. Wow. One of the things about all these sites that are kind of like that they suck the Johnson of big media stuff. Here's something good. And yeah, it's from CNN, but the retirement announcement this week from Sen. Rob Portman is a sign that even as we just finished one election, another one is right out of the corner. Democrats seem to be pleased that the Ohio Republicans stepping aside because beating an incumbent senator is hard. Still, it wouldn't be jumping too much for joy if I were the Democrats. To be clear, this is not a great map. This is not a great map for Republicans, and it's still very, very early. But history suggests Democrats have the work cut out for them if they want to maintain or expand their majority of 50 seats, with Kamala Harris breaking the ties. The simple fact is, while there is exceptions, 2018 midterms tend to be rough for Senate candidates of the party controlling the White House. Now, there is some good news for Democrats. At least 14 Democrats seats need to defend, while only seat without elected incumbent running so far as California with appointed Senator Alex Padilla. In midterms since 1982, the opposing party has never picked up a seat that leaned as much as the opposition party, compared to the country as a whole in prior presidential election. Further, there are no Democrat elected incumbents leading the running in states President Joe Biden lost. Back in 2018, there were 10 seats Democrats had to defend in the state's 2016 Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton had lost. The problem for the Democrats becomes apparent by comparing what looks like the best three pickup opportunities for Democrats to the best three for Republicans. The bad news for Democrats is that three of the Democrat seats that are up in 2022 are in states where Biden underperformed his national margin: Arizona, Georgia, and Nevada. White House party incumbents running in states where their party underperformed nationally in the previous presidential election have a decent but not great success in midterms. The incumbent party is 30 for 41, 73% in these seats since 1982. The 73 may seem impressive, but it's not really. Take a look at where probably Democrats best pick up opportunities. These are in the three battleground states where Republican senators have announced their retirements: North Carolina, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Biden underperformed his national margin by 3 points or more in all these states in 2020. The opposition party has won 31 out of 34, 91% margin of the open seats since 1982, in which the president underperformed his national margin in the previous presidential election. The only times the opposition party didn't win these was when Joe Manchin, when West Virginia's governor ran and may have acted as a pseudo-incumbent in 2010, or when the president's approval rating was above 60%. Indiana's Evan Bayh won in 1998, and Minnesota's Norm Coleman won in 2002. Either way, you don't need to be a statistician to know 91% is larger than 73%. This isn't determinative by any stretch, though it does put Democrats in a less desirable position than Republicans. Expanding our horizons to look at all seats up in the cycle, we find a similar math. There are just 10 elected Democratic incumbents who are up in stakes and where Biden did better than he performed nationally. The White House party has won 78 out of 93 seats in midterms, with an elected incumbent of the same party running in a state where the president outperformed his national margin in the previous presidential election. Again, this may seem like a lot, but put that 84% into perspective. Right now, Republicans have 17 of their 20 senators who have not said they're retiring up for election in 2022. They're all running in states where Biden underperformed his national margin. Opposition party elected incumbents have won 83 out of 84 midterm races since 1982, and the states where the president underperformed his national margin. In the previous presidential election, the only loss was Lodge Faircloth of North Carolina in 1998, when then President Bill Clinton had an approval rating above 60%. Like in our previous case with arguably the most vulnerable seats for both sides, the less vulnerable Democrat seats are still more valuable or vulnerable than the less vulnerable Republican-held seats. A potential saving grace for Democrats is that there are more Republicans up for seats up for grabs. The real problem for Democrats, however, is while the map isn't awesome for Republicans, it doesn't seem like Democrats have the same counterbalance to the usual midterm penalty that Republicans had in 2018. Republicans are defending 20 seats, not 26 seats like the Democrats were in 2018. They are defending 0 seats in states where Biden outperformed his national margin, not the 12 Democratic-held seats in states where the Republican President Donald Trump performed in his national margin. The bottom line is that Democrats are going to need significantly better national environment than Republicans got in 2018 in order to repeat defeat, holding on to their Senate majority. That's possible, though it's not something I didn't necessarily bet on. So I can't find that one other article, but it was a really good article talking about how there are things that need to change in order for... I'll look for the article if I can. But yeah, I just wanted to make a video out there. But this is Atomic Brain Fart, and I hope that your mind is clear from radio.